Hey there, dear listeners. Welcome to Beyond the Wellness Hype, the podcast where we dig deep into the world of viral health and wellness products and separate facts from fiction and big marketing claims. My name is Jake, and joining me is my partner in health hype fighting, Mia.
Hey there, health enthusiast. Ready to kick off our first full episode?
Today, we're kicking things off with a deep dive into a product that's been brewing up a storm in the weight loss world.
Oh, really?
Okay, so imagine this. It's morning, you're having your coffee, just your regular routine. But this coffee, it's actually helping you burn fat.
It's a pretty enticing premise, right?
Right. And that's the idea behind Javaburn, this weight loss supplement that everyone's talking about.
Yeah, you just sprinkle some powder in your morning coffee and supposedly those stubborn pounds just melt away.
But be honest, can it really be that easy?
That's the question, isn't it? Javaburn's marketing is really well done. They promise effortless weight loss, a supercharged metabolism. They even use the phrase, nutritional synergy. Yeah. So basically, they claim that these ingredients work even better together.
And you know me, I love a good synergy story, but I'm also always a little skeptical.
As you should be.
So that's why we're doing this deep dive into the science of Javaburn today. We've got all these excerpts from their marketing, but we're also looking at actual research papers on Javaburn's key ingredients.
Yeah, we're talking L-carnitine, there's chlorogenic acid, green tea extract, chromium. They've even got L-theanine in there.
It's like they raided a health food store.
It really is. And that's what makes this deep dive so interesting. We get to cut through the hype and see if the science actually adds up. Is Javaburn the miracle cure it claims to be, or is it just clever marketing?
All right, let's get into it. First up, L-carnitine. Now, this one is an amino acid, and we actually already have it naturally in our bodies, right?
We do, and it's super important for energy production.
So how does it work?
Think of L-carnitine like a shuttle service for fat. It transports fat to your cells' mitochondria. Those are basically the energy factories of your body, and that's where the fat can be burned for fuel.
So L-carnitine makes sure the fat gets to the gym, so to speak, to get burned off.
Precisely. And there's been some research into L-carnitine and its potential for weight loss. There was a big study back in 2020. They reviewed a ton of other studies. Scientists call that a meta-analysis.
Okay, so what did they find? Should we all be adding L-carnitine to our coffee?
Well, this meta-analysis, they published it in Pharmacological Research, and they did find that when overweight adults took L-carnitine supplements, it led to some reductions in body weight, BMI, and fat mass.
So are we talking a dramatic before and after transformation?
Here's the thing. While the results were statistically significant, which is a good thing, it means it wasn't just random chance. The actual amount of weight loss was pretty modest.
So it's not a miracle cure.
Right. Don't expect to drop tons of weight just from L-carnitine alone.
More like it could maybe give you a bit of an edge.
Exactly. Oh, but there's another L-carnitine study you might find interesting. This one involved cats.
Cats, like house cats.
Overweight house cats, to be precise.
Okay, I have to ask, what do overweight cats have to do with my morning coffee?
Well, in this 2012 study, they gave these overweight cats L-carnitine, and they found that it actually boosted their metabolism and they burned more fat. But here's the really cool part. They also preserved their lean muscle mass.
Oh, so it's not just about losing weight, it's about losing fat and keeping muscle.
You got it. And that's something a lot of people are looking for.
Definitely. Who doesn't want a more toned physique?
Right. So while we always need more research, these L-carnitine studies are pretty promising.
Interesting. Okay, so moving on to the next ingredient in Javaburn, we've got chlorogenic acid, CGA for short.
And you find that naturally in green coffee beans.
Green coffee beans. So not like the roasted ones we usually brew.
Nope, we're talking raw, unroasted.
Huh. What's so special about them?
Well, they contain this CGA, this chlorogenic acid. And there's actually a reason why Javaburn uses green coffee beans. Roasting them destroys most of that CGA.
Interesting. So I can't just grind up some green coffee beans at home and get the same effect.
Probably not. It's better to stick to something that's specifically formulated, like Javaburn or a green coffee bean extract. And there's some evidence it might actually work. One study found that people who took CGA lost 3 times as much weight. And they burn a lot more calories, too, compared to the placebo group.
3 times? Seriously? Okay, that's pretty impressive.
It is, but we always have to add a grain of salt. It was just one study, so we need to see more research to confirm that.
Fair enough. So besides potentially tripling weight loss, what else can the CGA do?
Well, there was some research at UC Davis, and they called CGA a potent natural carb blocker.
Hold on. Does that mean it'll make my breakfast bagel disappear?
Haha, no. It's not magic. What they mean is CGA might help your body process carbs better by regulating blood sugar and insulin sensitivity.
And that's important for weight loss
Because when your blood sugar spikes and crashes, you get those energy dips, and that often makes you crave sugary, fatty foods.
Okay. So even if the jury's still out on CGA and weight loss, it could be helpful for managing cravings.
Exactly. It's all about keeping your blood sugar stable so you're less likely to reach for those unhealthy snacks.
Makes sense. So what's next on our Javaburn ingredient list? You know, it's funny you should mention familiar ingredients because I feel like everywhere I turn, someone's praising green tea. And wouldn't you know it, Javaburn has green tea extract in it too.
Yeah, green tea's definitely having a moment.
So is it all hype? Or is there something special about green tea?
Well, it's not just about drinking a cup of tea, right? The real power comes from these compounds. They're called catechins, and green tea extract is full of them.
Catechins. Okay, so what are those then, and how do they work?
So catechins, especially when they're combined with caffeine, they've been shown to increase energy expenditure. Basically, they give your metabolism a little boost and help your body burn more calories.
So that's where that whole metabolism boost thing comes in that Javaburn keeps talking about.
Exactly. But it's more than just burning calories. There's actually a really interesting twist with this one. There was a study back in 2017, and they found that these green tea catechins, they can activate something called brown adipose tissue.
Brown adipose tissue. What on earth is that?
You might know it as brown fat.
Okay, so is that different from regular fat?
Yeah, it's different from the white fat that we usually try to get rid of. Brown fat, get this, it actually burns calories for heat.
Wait, hold on. There's a type of fat that burns calories. Tell me more.
Right. It's pretty cool. So it's like having this built-in furnace in your body. Now, we still need more research to fully understand how this works in humans, but the idea that green tea could help us use our brown fat stores is pretty amazing for weight management.
Okay, so it's like instead of just turning up your thermostat, you're upgrading your body's heating system so it burns more fuel.
I like it. All right, well, moving on, the next ingredient on our Javaburn adventure is chromium. I know chromium is a mineral, but honestly, I had no idea why it would be in a weight loss supplement. But then I understood chromium is important for how our bodies process carbs. You know, when you eat carbs, your body breaks them down into glucose, right?
For energy.
Exactly. So chromium helps regulate that whole process. It makes your cells more sensitive to insulin, which means they can actually use that glucose more effectively.
So it's like chromium is making sure that everything runs smoothly, like it's conducting the glucose orchestra.
I like that. Perfect analogy. And this matters for weight loss because when your blood sugar is all over the place, you end up with those energy crashes and those crazy cravings, and then you overeat, and, well, you know the rest.
Yep, definitely been there. Stable blood sugar means fewer cravings. Fewer cravings mean, hopefully, less weight gain. Makes sense. Okay, last but not least, we have L-theanine. Now, whenever I hear L-theanine, I immediately think like calmness, focus. Actually, I even take it sometimes to help me sleep. Why is that in a weight loss supplement?
That's a good question. And it really gets at how Javaburn is trying to position itself. They're not just talking about the physical stuff. They're also addressing the mental and emotional side of weight loss, which I think is pretty smart.
Okay, interesting. Tell me more about that.
Well, we all know that stress is just the worst, right?
Yeah, absolute worst.
It's terrible for our bodies, and that includes our weight. When we're stressed out, our bodies pump out cortisol, and that can actually make us store fat, especially around our stomachs.
Well, so that's why I crave chips and chocolate when I'm stressed.
Exactly. But here's where L-theanine comes in. Studies show that it can help you relax, it reduces those stress levels, and it can even improve sleep quality. And it does all that without making you sleepy during the day.
So basically with L-theanine, you're calmer, more balanced, and hopefully less likely to reach for junk food when things get crazy.
Exactly. And when you're well rested and less stressed, you're just more likely to make healthier choices overall. You'll choose a salad over a burger. You'll actually feel like going to the gym.
It's like Javaburn is trying to address that mental game of weight loss, helping you build those healthy habits that tend to go out the window when life gets hectic.
That seems to be the idea. So we've talked about all these individual ingredients, and there's definitely some promising research there. But Javaburn's big claim is nutritional synergy. They're saying that these ingredients are even more effective when you combine them. And that's where things get a little iffy.
Because most of the research we've looked at has been about individual ingredients, not this specific combination.
Right. We can't just assume that because these ingredients might do something on their own, that they're going to magically work even better together.
So that whole 500% boost in metabolism claim, that's starting to sound a little too good to be true.
I'd want to see some serious research on their specific formula before I started making those kinds of promises. There's a big difference between, like, an ingredient showing some potential in a lab and a company actually proving that their blend creates this amazing synergistic effect.
It's like, we need to see the receipts. And speaking of receipts, I noticed that while Javaburn lists its ingredients, they don't say how much of each ingredient is in their blend.
Yes, the proprietary blend.
So does that make it hard to figure out how effective this synergy really is?
It definitely makes it tricky. Without knowing the exact dosages of each ingredient, it's tough to say if they're actually using enough to make a difference. It's like baking a cake. If you don't follow the recipe, you might end up with something that's edible, but not exactly delicious.
Or in this case, a supplement that doesn't live up to the hype. So while we wait for more research on Javaburn's formula, what can our listeners do to approach this or any weight loss supplement really with a critical eye?
That's the million-dollar question. First and foremost, remember, quick fixes. They rarely work. Sustainable weight management. That's a marathon, not a sprint. Don't buy the hype that promises you can lose weight without putting in any work.
So you're saying that diet, exercise, lifestyle changes, all that stuff we talk about, it still matters, even with a supplement like Javaburn.
Absolutely. Supplements can maybe play a supporting role, but they can't replace healthy habits. They're not a magic bullet.
And what about all those before and after photos and glowing reviews on Javaburn's website? They can be pretty convincing.
Oh, for sure. But those are just anecdotes. They're not scientific proof. What works for one person might not work for someone else. And a lot of times those testimonials don't give you the full story. They don't tell you about someone's lifestyle, their genetics, or other factors that could be playing a role.
It's like, just because your friend loved a certain restaurant doesn't mean you will. You have to try it for yourself. You have to be your own health advocate.
Exactly. Do your research, ask your doctor, and don't be afraid to ask tough questions. Look out for red flags too, like exaggerated language, if they're not backing up their claims with any science, or if they're pressuring you with limited time offers.
Be an informed consumer, basically.
Exactly. Make choices that align with your goals and your values. And speaking of choices, we should probably talk about the cost. Javaburn is not cheap.
Yeah, it's definitely a premium product with a price tag to match. Do you think it's worth it?
That's a tough one. There's no one-size-fits-all answer. I mean, they say they use high-quality ingredients and have strict manufacturing processes, which could contribute to the price. But at the end of the day, the real question is, does it work? And as we've been discussing, the research is still a little iffy on that.
So it's a bit of a gamble then.
Kind of. You have to weigh the potential benefits, which we're still not totally sure about, against the cost. And for a lot of people, the research might not justify the price tag, especially when there are other, more affordable ways to reach your weight loss goals.
Like focusing on those healthy habits we keep talking about.
Right. Eating a balanced diet, finding ways to move your body that you enjoy, managing your stress, getting enough sleep. Those are the foundations, and they shouldn't be overlooked.
It's about taking a holistic approach rather than just relying on some magic pill or magic powder. Now, Javaburn also makes a big deal about being 100% natural and manufactured in an FDA-approved facility. Those sound good, but are they actually meaningful?
It's easy to get sucked into those buzzwords, but it's really important to understand what they actually mean. Natural doesn't automatically equal safe or effective.
It's like just because a plant grows in nature doesn't mean it's safe to eat.
Exactly. Even natural things can have a strong effect on our bodies, and we're all different, so what works for one person might not work for another.
So even though Javaburn says it's all natural, we still need to check with our doctor before trying it, right? Especially if we have health issues or are on any medications.
100%. Always better to be safe than sorry. And then there's that FDA-approved claim. The FDA doesn't actually approve dietary supplements for safety or effectiveness before they're sold.
Really? I thought everything had to get the green light from the FDA before it went on the market.
That's a common misconception. The FDA does regulate supplements, but not in the same way they regulate prescription drugs. It's mostly up to the manufacturer to make sure their supplement is safe and effective. The FDA steps in if there's a problem.
So it's more of a buyer beware situation.
In a way, yes. Now, in Javaburn's case, they do say they're manufactured in a GMP-certified facility, which is good.
GMP.
Good manufacturing practices. So that means they have to follow certain quality standards. But again, even with that certification, you still got to be careful and do your research.
Don't just take their word for it, basically.
Right. Look for evidence, read reviews, be your own health advocate.
Exactly. Knowledge is power. The more you know about your own body, about this stuff, about the risks and the benefits, the better choices you can make.
100%.
It's about taking control of your health rather than relying on empty promises.
Now, I want to go back to something that I mentioned earlier. The placebo effect. Could just believing that Javaburn works, even if it doesn't actually do anything, could that lead to positive changes?
The placebo effect is real, and it's not just about tricking ourselves. What we believe can actually have a physical impact on our bodies.
It's pretty amazing when you think about it. Like with weight loss, if you truly believe that Javaburn is going to boost your metabolism and help you lose weight, that belief alone might actually lead to some changes in your behavior, maybe even without you realizing it.
Okay, so how would that work? How does believing in Javaburn translate into actual results?
Well, imagine this. You start taking Javaburn every morning, and you're convinced it's going to work. You're feeling motivated. That might make you pay closer attention to the other choices you're making throughout the day, like you might start choosing healthier snacks, or maybe you'll opt for smaller portions at meals.
Yeah, you're thinking, hey, I'm putting in the effort with this supplement. I should probably step it up in other areas of my life too.
Exactly. And it's not just about willpower or anything like that. Our brains are constantly releasing all these chemicals, and those chemicals affect our mood, our motivation levels, even our metabolism. So when we believe something is going to work, it can actually trigger all these positive physical responses in our bodies.
So believing in Javaburn could become a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It really could. And this isn't just about weight loss or supplements. The placebo effect has been studied in so many different areas, and for all sorts of health conditions. It really highlights how interconnected our minds and bodies really are.
It's amazing, right? Like how much of our health is influenced by what we believe.
Yeah.
It really makes you think. Now, for our listeners who are fascinated by this whole placebo effect thing, I know I am.
Yeah.
Are there any books or resources you recommend for learning more?
Oh, absolutely. There's a really great book called Cure, A Journey into the Science of Mind Over Body by Joe Marchant. It's a fascinating look at the placebo effect and how it might be used to help people heal.
Love it. Adding that to my reading list for sure. Okay, before we wrap up this Javaburn deep dive, we have to talk about the elephant in the room, which is the price. It's not exactly easy on the wallet. So, given everything we've talked about today, the ingredients, the research, the placebo effect, all of it, do you think it's worth the cost?
You know, that's the million-dollar question. And unfortunately, there's no simple answer. It really depends on your individual situation, your priorities, and of course, how much you buy into the science.
It's a personal decision.
Exactly. You have to weigh the potential benefits, which we've established are still a bit up in the air against that investment.
And remember, those premium ingredients and manufacturing processes that Javaburn talks about, those things cost money.
They do. But there are definitely ways to work towards your weight loss goals without spending a fortune.
Like all those healthy habits we talked about, eating a balanced diet, moving our bodies, managing our stress levels, prioritizing sleep.
Exactly. Those are the things that create a truly healthy lifestyle. And they're much more sustainable in the long run.
It's about playing the long game, for sure. So as we wrap up this deep dive into Javaburn, what's the one big takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
That's easy. Be your own advocate. Don't just blindly trust marketing claims. Do your research, ask those tough questions, and make informed choices about your health.
Love it. Don't be afraid to be a little skeptical, a little curious. If something seems too good to be true, it probably is. Trust your gut.
Absolutely. You only get one body, so take care of it.
And on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive into Javaburn. We hope this episode has given you some things to think about and maybe even inspired you to take control of your health journey.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
And remember, stay curious, stay informed, and we'll see you next time.
You can find all the papers discussed in the description section, as well as the Javaburn website link. Also, if you've appreciated our review, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. It really helps.